basketball season kicked off last night with an 8-man small conference showdown between Boothbay and Old Orchard Beach.
The Seagulls with a huge win on opening night, beating Boothbay 80-16. That is nearly a combined 100 points by both teams, 80 by the defending champions.
Joining us right now ahead of the first Friday Night Lights is Fox 23 Sports Director Dave Ead. And Dave, you've already got a great lineup of action tonight. Wow, and Friday Night Lights has been a tradition on our sister station, CBS 13, since the early 90s. Talk about how exciting every Friday night is and having that show on for so long.
And I think you started it a long time ago.
Like 1992 or something? Yeah.
So it's been around for a long time, but it is a great time of year. It's really, I think it's a revival. You know what I mean? You go through the summer, and it's a long summer. We wait for summer, and then fall comes and the switch goes, and it's football season.
I love it.
And it is a great time of year, and the kids work so hard in the summer to get to the fall.
Yeah.
So and the season goes by fairly fast. So but it's a lot of fun being out there on a Friday night.
All right, now let's talk about which team to look out for this season. In Class A, it's usually Thornton Academy, 6 state titles since 2012. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, Wyatt Benoit, the quarterback of this football team, is back, and he is early Fitzpatrick, candidate. He's that good. TA won over Portland, as you can see here, last year in the States. Ironically, I think Portland's going to be back as well. They've got some great players coming back, Cordell Jones. But I think TA, until you can knock off the top team, I think they're still the team to beat. I think Bonnie Eagle's going to be back this year. We had a piece on CJ Cooper earlier this week. He's one of the top wide receivers in all of New England. He was out all of last year with a knee injury. He'll be back. So I think Class A is really going to be wide open this year in the South. And it's no longer one conference. It was Class A was its own entity for a few seasons. Now it's the North and South again. So, but I think Bonnie Eagle, the usual suspects will be back again.
Yeah, Thornton Academy like the Georgia or Alabama when it comes to high school football.
Certainly.
Hey, by in Class B, Kennebunk has been king. They open up against Westbrook, a team that nearly beat them in the playoffs last season. So we talk about Class B, the Rams are good.
Yeah, the Rams are really good. Their first state title since the early 90s last year. But you're right, Jeff. Westbrook had them there in the playoffs, but the Rams are always powerful. They're a well-coached, solid football team on both sides of the football. We'll be down there tonight. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff in Kennebunk, and as you can see, they debuted their brand new field last year.
Ooh.
So, what way to, better way to christen a new field than with a state championship.
Yeah, and in Class C, after getting knocked out of the playoffs by Freiburg Academy, the program has a new coach.
That's Cheverus. And that is Skip Capone. Skip Capone, you're right. Freiburg did knock Cheverus out of the playoffs last year. The Stags are going up to Class B South this year. I can't say enough about Skip Capone. He's been a good friend for a very long time. A Maine staple when it comes to coaching. This guy, there is not a human being in Maine that loves football more than Skip Capone, and he loves the kids. I think he'll do a great job. He's been a coach forever, but this is the first time he's been a head coach for a long time. So he's excited. Spencer Emerson of Falmouth, who Cheverus will play tonight, is a first-year head coach at Falmouth, so that should be a good game.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Cheverus not the only school with someone calling the place. Falmouth Navigators welcoming in a new head coach as well. And when you talk about the coaches, this new coach here, I mean, they're paid, but for all the hours they put in, it's not enough.
Yeah, these guys, it starts long before, the fall with these guys. They put in a ton of hours, but they do it because not only do they love the game, but they love the kids. They love being out there. Obviously there's only going to be so many schools that are going to win a gold ball this year, but if you can learn so much more than X's and O's in football. You learn how to win as a team, you lose as a team. As long as you stay together, you're making memories that for these kids that are going to last a lifetime. And for the kids that do win, they'll come back 10, 15, 20 years and they'll talk about, hey, you remember, the snow was flying at Fitzpatrick Stadium and we pulled it out at the end. And really that's what it's all about. And It's great watching them do their thing.
Yeah, so many memories for sure.
Yeah, and heartbreak for Portland last season, losing to Thornton Academy in the state title game. Bulldogs looking to return to the big game and always seem to have a competitive team. You mentioned them earlier, just a few minutes ago, that's another team that could compete for a state title.
Absolutely. Sean Green, one of the top coaches in all of Maine, he is, back with the Bulldogs. I mentioned Cordell Jones is, really one of the top players in the league. I mean, now Portland lost some key pieces to their offense, but I think they're deep enough where they'll be back. And it's funny, if you go back a few years, Portland was in the Class B state championship game a few years ago, lost to Skowhegan. Last year, they were in the Class A state championship game, lost to Thornton Academy. So maybe this will be the charm for them third time. They've come so close. A great program, and it's great to see Coach Green working his magic. All those great years at Cape Elizabeth, now he's bringing it to Portland.
All right, Dave, let's go over all the teams to look out for this season.
Well, I think, there's a lot. Obviously, we mentioned Thornton Academy, Portland, Bonnie Eagle. I really like the Scots this year. I think they're going to be back. Kennebunk Wells is always a powerhouse with Coach Roach down there. And the Chevers Stags, keep an eye out for Chevers. They were 6-2 last year. Katie, as you mentioned, they lost a tough game. Freiburg, people forget, let's back up. Class C, I think one of the best seasons in high school football history, the Leavitt Hornets. Not only did they run the table again, finish undefeated, second straight gold ball, they beat 2 Class A teams along the way. They beat Thornton Academy in September. They beat Oxford Hills. I was at the TA game. They came back. They were down pretty big at halftime. They came back and won. So I think the Leavitt Hornets are an automatic, shoe-in. They're the Patriots from when the Tom Brady years. Mike Hathaway does a great job there up at Leavitt. But Freiburg Academy last year almost knocked out the Hornets in the playoffs. So they'll be great as well.
Well, last thing, we have 30 seconds. Talk about how crazy Friday nights are. You're out shooting football all night, and you're scribbling down the highlights. You're getting rosters of the teams, and somehow it makes it on the air, and it's crazy behind the scenes.
I have gone on the air literally with scratch notes with like arrows
what did
pointing.
I write? Yeah.
And I'm not getting any younger, but it is a lot of fun. And like I said, for me, there's nothing better than Friday nights in the fall here in Maine.
Well, we got to get you back here on ARC Maine very soon.
I know, and I
So
did this
fun.
without coffee this morning.
What?
That should be the
We'll
headline.
have coffee for you next time. You should have said
Well,
something.
no, I was in a rush to get here, so but I'll get one now.
We'll get some poutine for you. How about that?
That
it
sounds
smells really good.
It does.
All right, so stick around for some poutine. And by the way, we'll
Sounds
have you definitely on right before the Gold Ball Super
Would
Saturday.
love it.
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good?
All right,
Would love
stay
it.
with us.